This is the time of week you dump big news, and DIA just dumped big time. Some folks are convinced Denver's homeless population spiked with legal marijuana. So let's look at the numbers. And your good news this Friday is a reunion of old friends after decades apart.
When are we going to have this on TV?
This should be on TV today.
Tonight on the news?
Yeah, next. It's like the news. It's called a news dump. When somebody drops news that they don't want to be seen at a time when they think no one is going to see it. 5 p.m. Friday is your best bet. And on the day of a key impeachment vote, well, that's even safer for a news dump. Denver International Airport dropped a doozy 4 minutes before the close of the business day today. The airport is suing the city of Aurora. So you got to remember that DIA is the city of Denver, and DIA is suing its neighbor Aurora to prevent the development of homes less than a mile from a planned runway at the airport. DIA is expecting a ton of noise complaints from homes, and that can lead to expensive fines. So DIA is trying to head off developers before they can build. Now, part of the beauty of the 5 p.m. Friday news dump is that if there's a target involved, in this case the city of Aurora, they get blindsided with the phone calls from journalists right as they are headed out the door for the weekend. When we called the city of Aurora, a spokesman said he didn't even know they had been sued. Ever since marijuana was legalized, we've heard claims that it brought a bunch of people who are homeless to Denver. That's not what new statistics suggest, but numbers could always use some context, and our Anusha Roy is pretty good at that.
Between 2012 and 2019, a lot has changed in Denver, including legalizing recreational marijuana.
There were concerns about would we be attracting people to Denver.
That concern caught national attention, and locally, those who worked with the homeless community were sharing their stories.
Don't really ask people why they moved into the area. When we did have those conversations, there were some people that said yes, that was something that they were considering.
Today we got something more definitive, a set of numbers from the city that shows as the population of Denver went up, the number of homeless in the city in general was going down. On the surface, it seems to say one thing about these concerns.
For persons experiencing homelessness who are unsheltered is that it's been relatively flat.
But critics of legalized pot, smart approach to marijuana, says sales of legalized recreational marijuana didn't really take off until 2014. They say if you look at the homeless count between then and last year, the numbers slightly grew. They say while that's not enough to draw a direct link between the two, they are going to continue to watch the numbers. But changing laws isn't what Andrew Springs is worried about.
Our climate is excellent. There's lots of employment opportunities. The issue is housing.
He looked at the downward trend in the city data and said the St. Francis daytime shelter is not sharing that trend.
Numbers for us have remained very steady through the year.
In 2012, the feds changed their definition of homelessness, which meant fewer people were considered homeless, and Spinks believes the city is undercounting people.
Point in time is a bit of an undercount because it's a snapshot. It just takes a 1 moment count of everybody who's unhoused in the Denver area, Metro Denver, and we need more of a video.
A concern the city acknowledges.
And we believe that that happens to some degree, but we think by seeing the over time numbers, you can see the pattern.
So the St. Francis Center said, yeah, the count isn't perfect, but it's also the only thing they have, so they're trying to use it accordingly. And the city said they've been trying to improve their methods on actually reaching more people, learning where they're staying, and using new partners to be able to reach them as well, because they're trying to get the most accurate count as well.
So the city likes to ask people this question when they have a captive audience, say, in jail.
Oh, yes.
They'll ask, what brings you to Denver?
Yeah, okay, so the state did do a study about this, and they found that homeless inmates said one of the reasons they came was because of the access to marijuana, but that number was no higher than other inmates who were not homeless, so it was the same.
Yeah, I feel like our takeaway here is that people who are homeless like marijuana, and people who have homes like marijuana as well.
Right, exactly.
Okay, all right, great, we solved it.
Solved that one.
Solved it, thank you, Nisha.
Got it.
Senator Cory Gardner voted against witnesses and new evidence in President Trump's impeachment trial this afternoon. Senator Michael Bennet joined every other Democrat and 2 Republicans in a failed effort to force those witnesses. So next week, Republicans can end the impeachment process. Democratic Congressman Jason Crow of Aurora has received his first real national spotlight as a result of his role as an impeachment manager. He's been open and willing to take our questions about it. We don't have to say chase him through an airport. And he even took time for student journalists from his district.
We just kind of wanted to emphasize how momentous that was and how important it was that he was the one there. So we just kind of, yeah, we didn't have many expectations going in, but we wanted to see what his story was with it, not just like what is the impeachment trial, but what his experience is with it, how he feels about it.
Jaden and Ella, who run the Arapahoe Herald News magazine at Arapahoe High School, they got Representative Crow on the phone Wednesday.
You mentioned a fair trial. How do you think you've upheld that standard as your impeachment manager job?
Yeah, well, we've kept this very focused on the facts. We have avoided hyperbole. We've avoided, diving into conspiracy theories and other facts unrelated to what, the conduct here of the president has brought us here to discuss. The other side is kind of peddled in, frankly, Russian propaganda and conspiracy theories that are inappropriate for them to bring up, in our view.
Crow is the first Democrat to ever represent Colorado's 6th congressional district, which kind of rings Denver in the suburbs, though it doesn't really seem like it's going to be considered a swing district based on Crow's margin of victory and the fact that that district has been moving steadily toward Democrats. The longest running presidential campaign in the country, which could not crack 1% in the polls, has ended. It is not Senator Michael Bennet. He has not been in that long. Former Maryland Congressman John Delaney is out, but it does bring up the question I am so often asked, and I hear this music in the background each time. Is Michael Bennet still running for president? Yes. Yes, he is. But the Democratic National Committee put what appears to be another hurdle in front of him today. The DNC up and changed the qualifications for February's debate, and what it does is it opens a path for Michael Bloomberg to participate. Remember how presidential candidates were forced to chase tens of thousands of small dollar individual donors because they had to rack up a certain number of donors to get on the debate stage? Well, Bloomberg's not going to do that because he's just cutting himself a check. So the DNC's decided to drop that qualification, and they're going to put in a higher polling threshold instead. Bennett's spokeswoman told me that the DNC is making up rules as they go, and she said that that donor requirement forced candidates like Cory Booker and Kirsten Gillibrand to get out of the race. Bennett's been taking time away from campaigning in New Hampshire, which he kind of sees as his only opportunity to be in the Senate for President Trump's impeachment trial. He has to be there. And look what we spotted here. This is him chatting up Chief Justice John Roberts today at length. We sped up the video because they talked for like 8 minutes. This just struck us because it's an unusual scene. I mean, you've got the Chief Justice on the floor of the Senate in this unique role in only the third impeachment trial in American history.
Today's next question comes from Connie. Connie wants to know who's paying for NBC News' extended coverage of the impeachment trial. She wants to know whether 9 News is forced to run it hour after hour.
So, Connie, that question is better answered by my boss, so I can tell you what 9 News Director of Content Tim Ryan said. We, 9 News, we are not required to air NBC's extended coverage on any given day. We get to make the choice. If we choose to carry it, which we have with the impeachment trial, well, then we, 9 News, lose the advertising revenue during the hours that NBC goes commercial-free for any of those local ads. And if you've been watching television, you know that's a lot of ads and a lot of hours over the last 2 weeks.
2 old friends, reunited after decades.
I was 2 years older than her. She didn't want to go around with old people. Well,
An interesting twist of fate brings them back together. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. 2 bars, 2 teams, 2 groups of fans waiting for Sunday.
Finally Friday, and what a nice way to end a very active week of weather with sunshine, blue skies, and temperatures in the 50s. We have high pressure building in, but there's some really cold air bottled up to the north. So we'll enjoy 2 days of dry air, calm conditions, and above average readings for the first couple days of the new month. Today, heading in the right direction. 53 was our high. The average is 44. Tomorrow, we're headed into the mid 60s. The high and mid-level clouds moving through from the northwest tonight will be moving out. We have great travel I-25 and I-70. No advisories for snow. snow or travel until Monday, and that's when the next storm arrives. There's cold and accumulating snow for Denver Monday into Tuesday. But before that, might see record high temperatures, and we might see some record high temperatures close to 70 degrees. So let's break it all down. Fair skies and 30 in the city tonight. Calm, cool, and quiet. Tomorrow, sunny and 65. Records possible Sunday. The wind increases, and we've got 2 to 5 inches of snow here by Tuesday morning, with Tuesday's high at 18 and a low Wednesday morning close to 0. It's a fast-moving system, but it will be impactful, and then with sunshine, temperatures warm back again. We're into the 50s before you know it.
Thank you, Kathy. Denver Parks and Rec has a request for us that applies even if you don't live in Denver proper. Water your trees if you can this weekend. They are thirstier than a newsman working the final hours of a Friday shift. It's because this winter has been so dry. Denver Parks and Rec says we should try to water trees in a dry winter like this if the temperature is staying above 40. Guessing your lawn probably looks like mine, pretty raggedy, but it's just sleeping. It browns during the winter. But Parks and Rec said it wouldn't be a bad idea if you want to put some water on the lawn this weekend. Do not turn on your sprinklers. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. You got to use the hose. And put the hose away before it snows on Monday. I know this is going to make Broncos fans uncomfy, but there are a good number of Chiefs fans who live in Colorado. They work with us. They drive alongside us on the roads. They love the same great beer at the same great breweries. They hike trails in front of and behind us. They're the ones in red, and they're very excited about this Sunday's Super Bowl. And so are all the Silicon Valley transplants who left the Bay Area for greener, techier pastures with less traffic here in Colorado. So what do you say, Broncos fans? Let's try to at least pretend to be excited for them this weekend.
When I first started coming here, there were 6 total, and our little group has grown exponentially over the years.
We got started in my backyard, Lakewood, Colorado. 10 of us. When it comes to meeting here, could be anywhere from 150 to 300.
The general manager of the bar is actually from Topeka, Kansas, and so he, like myself, has been indoctrinated as a Chiefs fan since a very young age. And when asked to turn the bar that he was going to manage into a bar for the NFL, it was an easy choice for him to pick the Chiefs because, hey, why not be able to sit, hang out with some friends, and watch the team you love?
We were walking in one day, we saw that this bar was lonely, I want to say. And we just came in here, talked to management. We let them know that we wanted to meet. All the faithful wanted to meet here. They say yes. Overnight, it went from 10 of us to over 300 of us in this location.
One thing's for certain, we are in a very diverse city.
It is interesting, to say the least, knowing that, you know, I'm a Chiefs fan in Denver. There's a lot of people that I've met along the way that do know that, and they absolutely respect me for being a Chiefs fan.
They have never at all, in any way, shape, or form, disrespected for the fact that I am a 49er fan.
Just the camaraderie of being able to have friends from home, per se.
And I think that what you have to show is respect for one another.
Well, obviously, the Chiefs are going to win.
It's gotta be the 49ers, baby, and any self-respecting Broncos fan will go for the Niners as well. Woo!
Yeah.
Passive aggressiveness as an art form. Somebody in Cherry Creek has perfected it. Their friendship started more than 60 years ago, reignited all these years later, apparently, by a mutual love of Next.
I do. He's a Libby.
Okay, perhaps they both don't love the program, but they do adore each other. Next.
Fridays, we always carve out time for your good news. Sometimes it's all the little notes that you'll send us about this or that in your life. Sometimes we'll go and ask people around town. And on occasion, we will pick one favorite piece of your good news. This time, a pair of college friends from 60 years ago. They lost touch and then realized they were living together again. Our Tom Cole grabbed his camera and went to Littleton to see them.
This was remarkable.
I want him to tell us when he turns the camera on.
They found each other totally by accident.
I was born in Houston, Texas.
So was I.
Can you imagine living in Houston for many years, then moving to Littleton, Colorado, not knowing that they were here? Either one didn't know they were here.
I happened to overhear this voice with a Texas accent, and she said, "My name is Sarah."
And one hears the other say something about Rice University.
I went there when it was the Institute, And I thought, uh-oh, I know this person.
I was 2 years older than her. Okay. You know, she didn't want to go around with old people.
Well.
And the other turns around and they know one another. Their husbands played football together.
We just couldn't believe it. We've both called our families. My son lives in New Jersey and my daughters are here. And they all just said, I can't believe that. They didn't know Marilyn. I just knew Marilyn from many years ago.
We've just hit it off. It's been down memory lane ever since.
Sarah and Marilyn are finding friendship again. They're reconnecting.
And we believe God brought us together so we could enjoy having a close friend.
It was a miracle.
My good news is Sarah.
And my good news is her.
Growing older is not an end in itself. It can be another new beginning. And that's what they found.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. The most Colorado thing we saw today led us to wonder how better off we would be if we let dogs make all of our political decisions. We got thinking about that because our viewer Natalie spotted a dog at the state capitol. Dog may be a service pet because they're the only animals that are supposed to be in the capitol. I've seen enough photos of legislators with dogs at the capitol that it appears this rule is not always followed. What's the most Colorado thing you saw today? Send photos to next@9news.com or give me a shout with the hashtag HeyNext. So sometimes you feel like being passive. Sometimes you feel like being aggressive. Why choose? Be passive aggressive. It's a photo that cracked us up. That your feedback next. It's a level of pettiness that couldn't possibly be how you Colorado, or could it? So I'm going to guess that the neighbors who share this alley in Cherry Creek North have an issue with where they should place their trash and recycling bins without blocking each other's garage doors, because that would explain why somebody stacked them 3 high in an effort to make a point. Somebody else posted it on Nextdoor, which is where neighbors go to whine about neighbors rather than dealing with their differences face to face like adults. So can I just say, I'm sorry you guys had to watch that Next promo during the commercial breaks like 4 times. You're watching Next and we're telling you to watch Next. It's obnoxious. It would be like if you're eating at Chipotle and they're just playing ads for Chipotle overhead. Tonight, about the issue of Denver International Airport, Denver suing the city of Aurora over the idea of building homes close to a runway. Michael Booth tweets, regional collaboration. You hate to see it. Yeshua Blanco writes in to say that sees the point, totally valid about showing the impeachment trial, but saying if it's on every channel, could we at least break for news? Well, here's the issue. We will be breaking for news from here on out because I guess they're going to come back, they're going to talk about it on Monday, and then the final vote is on Wednesday. And James McFall takes us home tonight. He says, good program. Keep stirring. You got it, boss. See you next time.